The Cardinals have a new manager, the Yankees have to sign their superstar, and a team with an A on their hat should learn from another team with an A on their hat, and neither of those teams are called the A's. This is Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB. Your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB. Thank you for making Locked On MLB your first listen, as we're available for free on all your podcast platforms. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan, as the overlay will show right underneath. Feel free to call me Sully. This episode is being dropped on the 8th day of November 2021. We are in the off season. The parade has taken place, and this is where the podcast can get a little interesting. And we're going to be taking a look, as we said in the tease, at a couple of organizations, a couple of team pickups, and what is happening with the manager situation, one of the most storied organizations in the game. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on all the platforms. On Twitter, you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Excuse me as I itch my nose. That's all I got to say about that. Hey, what am I wearing today? As you look down, I'm going to tilt down. CSUF. There you go. That's Cal State Fullerton, great baseball college. Sorry, just had to readjust the camera there. Cal State Fullerton, big baseball college. Tim Wallach and a bunch of other big ball players had played there. There several national championships. I'm earning my master's degree there as I'm doing this here. I'm looking to become a doctorate of podcasting, where I will be Dr. Sully, a doctorate in podcasting. That's my aim in life. But as for right now, I've gone back and forth between here, the luxurious Locked On MLB studios in Pasadena, California, overlooking the historic Rose Bowl, and Fullerton for my college time. And along the way, I have found myself passing Angel Stadium in Anaheim quite a bit these days. And there's nothing going on there. Maybe there's a monster truck pull or something, but there's no baseball going on there. It's November. There was no baseball going on there in October either. Maybe it was in the first week. I can't remember if they finished the season in Anaheim or not. Doesn't matter. Once again, the Angels have had a dark postseason. They had a very good decade in the 2000s, where they did win a World Series and they won the division several of the times. In 2010 till 2021, one postseason appearance. One. And they've done so where, look, it is all but a lock that Shohei Ohtani is going to win the American League Most Valuable Player Award. And, a big reason for that is the fact that he is a wonderful offensive player. Sorry, not postseason. He hasn't played a game in the American postseason. He's a wonderful offensive player, and is a fine pitcher as well. And if he wins the MVP, and it looks like he's going to, that means this will be the fourth Angels MVP since 2014. Three of them by Mike Trout. Trout was injured for a big chunk of this year, and he was not much of a factor. But I believe, my heart of hearts, I believe that one of the reasons why he sat out the rest of the year with his injury, obviously it was a serious injury, but there was no reason to bring him back. There was no reason to rush him. As the franchise player, with all due respect to Shohei Ohtani, there was no reason to drag him back, as the Angels floated around, not horrible, but not good. They finished the season 77-85, and Trout only played in 36 games. Now, in those 36 games, he was tremendous. He still had the seventh highest WAR on the Angels, even though he played less than 40 games. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, The Angels never contended this year. They were totally out of it this year. In fact, I'm going to baseballreference.com, the single greatest website in the history of the planet Earth. Um, were they ever above 500? Yes. On April 12th, they were above 500. Congratulations. Okay. Did they ever lead the division? Yes. On April 13th, they led the division. Congratulations. You led the division around the time we were filing for our taxes. By the time it got to May, the team was a 500 team. They did they raise their yes, one day in June they raised their nose above 500. One day in July, very briefly, they raised their nose above 500. Say in late July as well, but then by the time they actually were above 500 a little bit in early August, but they weren't really contending. And then they just absolutely collapsed. In the final few months of the season, they were a complete non-factor. They had a disastrous September, they had a mediocre August, and they were gone. Now, why am I bringing them up? Because when you get to around, let's just pick a time. Let's just pick the trade deadline, shall we? July 31st, they were at 500, even 500, and 11 and a half games out of first place. Now, at that same time, the Atlanta Braves were a sub 500 team. And after that day, the Braves were 36 and 19, and the Angels had a losing record during that same stretch. Why am I bringing up the Angels and the Braves at this point? What happened with the Braves? The Braves disappointed. The Braves had a ton of injuries. And like the Angels, the Braves lost their best player. They lost their best player in Ronald Acuna Jr. Okay? And what happened along the way was the Braves were able to retool the team with shrewd moves and, of course, playing on the collapse of the New York Mets. They were able to win the division, and now the Braves have a World Series title. But the victory for them came the nanosecond they won the division. The fact that they won a World Series title and were able to make this one of the great years in Atlanta history, sports-wise, for all sports, is a proverbial cherry on top. Now, the Angels are hurting Major League Baseball by not being a playoff team. They are hurting Major League Baseball by not being a contender. And before you say, "Oh, Sully, they were, playing in a rough division. They had no way of doing this, that, or the other thing," let me remind you, at that same time, when the Angels were at even 500, they were only a few games behind the Seattle Mariners, who finished the season with 90 wins and contended until the final day of the season. Okay? They were only a few games behind the Blue Jays, who contended until the final day of the season. Okay? There were teams in front of them who came tumbling down, like the Oakland A's came a tumbling down. It is possible to turn it around. And take a look at what the Braves did. By going for it and by piecing together that team, now the Braves and their organization can build upon that. And going forward, they are going to be a playoff team for the next bunch of years. Why can't the Angels do this? Why can't the Angels, even if they face the peril of, "Oh, we lost this great player or that great player," why can't they put together the Rubik's Cube of this? They've got the great manager. They have the the showcase talent on the team. They need pitching. Well, do you know what happened earlier today? Wade Miley. Remember Wade Miley? Wade Miley, for a while, was a fringe Cy Young contender in 2021. He faded down the stretch, as did everyone in the Cincinnati Reds, but he was available. And the Cubs were able to pick him up through waivers. Now look at, do I think Wade Miley is the next great pitcher of all time? Not really, but guess what? Some of the pitchers who helped carry the Braves to a World Series title weren't looked upon as great Cy Young contenders either. Some of the pitchers who helped the Giants win 107 ball games, as they've dusted themselves off in a rebuild, and you saw the Kevin Goslins and the Anthony Disclafanis of the world turn them into a 107 win team. Why are other organizations able to do this? Since the arrival of Mike Trout, the Braves were a playoff team, tore down the team, lost 90 some odd games, built themselves back up, and won a World Series. Giants, same thing. Okay, they didn't win the World Series this year, but they built themselves up, tore themselves down, and now won 107 ball games and look like they're going to be in good shape for the next couple of years. In that same stretch, the Angels haven't been able to do it. Put anything together. They have more money to spend than anything in the world. They have a Hall of Fame manager and a couple of generational talents on the team. They could have broken their no postseason streak last year in the truncated season if they reached the Everest of 50-50. If they went 30-30 over 60 games, they would have been one of the wild card teams. Instead, we had the Astros with a sub 500 record almost going to the World Series. I'm bringing this up because baseball, one of the things that could spark the postseason is star power. With a healthy Mike Trout, the Angels have the two most intriguing stars in baseball in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. And for whatever reason, this incredibly wealthy team, with supposedly really smart people working there, can't put together a farm system to produce at least a 500 team, and can't make the trades at the deadline to make them a contender that baseball desperately needs. There is no Mike Trout game. There is no Shohei Ohtani game, at least not in October. And that's bad for the game. This isn't me being an Angels fan. I'm not an Angels fan by any stretch of the imagination. But why is it that some teams can do this and others can't? You can't use money. You can't excuse money with the Angels, and you can't excuse the manager. Why can't this happen? Why can't the organization that has a stranglehold on two of the most appealing stars in baseball be able to get their act together in that way? We need to have it because we need to have our stars in the game. We need to have a Mike Trout October. I wouldn't mind it being next year. You're on the clock right now. You got the manager. You got the money. You've got the stars. Now put mediocrity around them. Eventually, the Astros are going to come crashing to earth, and the Angels have left the door wide open for the Seattle Mariners to be the next team. And there's no Mike Trout on Seattle. There's no Shohei Ohtani on Seattle. There's no Joe Madden managing Seattle. We need our stars in the game, not playing golf. You got a little mulligan with Trout being injured, but you could have had this be the Shohei Ohtani October. And someone filling in, the Jorge Soler to fill in for Trout, the same way that he did for Ronald Acuna Jr. It's getting ridiculous that we can't have our big stars in the postseason. And it's taking away all my energy. And that means I may have to get myself a Built Bar. Here we are. It's Thanksgiving. It's nearly Thanksgiving. And the Angels got to get their act together. Now look, I happen to love Thanksgiving and all the great food and treats and plenty of them, but maybe you want a yummy dessert and it isn't always so filled with calories and sugar in that dessert. What are you going to do? How about a Built Bar? That's right, Thanksgiving Built Bar. It's the new holiday dessert. Feast on something delicious and feel good about it. One slice of pie has upwards of 300 calories, and that's on the low end. Most Built Bars have only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with plenty of protein. Replace that coconut cream pie with coconut Built Bar, or the raspberry Built Bar, my favorite, instead of that raspberry pie. Lots of good flavors to replace any pie. Low calorie, low carb, high protein, and low fat, covered in 100% real chocolate. Built Bar is a great option for when you're hungry. If Thanksgiving isn't coming soon enough, go get a Built Bar or two. Share some at your family gatherings. It'll make things less awkward. Maybe Betty hasn't tried a Built Bar yet. You know you, Betty. New surprises are all month. Limited flavors are arriving at Built.com regularly. Go check the site often. There's nothing like a Built Bar Black Friday. Mark your calendar. Black Friday will be a huge event with lots of surprises. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Lots of qualifying offers have been made to some stars. Brandon Belt of the Giants, they don't want him to go. He's probably going to take it. I hope Freddie Freeman takes it, just so we know that Freddie Freeman's going to be there for the defense. He's probably going to resign. I think he's going to resign with the Braves. Carlos Correa, I've said it before, I'm going to repeat myself. The Astros are the best place for him, and he's the best person for the Astros. They have to work that out. There's a way to do it. We've all got money. Either Trevor Story or Corey Seager are going to sign with the Yankees, who I still think they should have signed Manny Machado a couple of years ago, but what do I know? Chris Taylor got an offer from the Dodgers, Robbie Ray from the Angels. There's a couple of ones in there. Conforto with the Mets managed to get one. Justin Verlander got one for the Astros. I think that's more of thank you for services rendered. Noah Syndergaard got one because no one knows what's happening with the Mets. Now, I got to say one thing. This is not a qualifying offer situation. Aaron Judge is the star of the Yankees. I said that Carlos Correa needed to stay with the Astros because there's no better fit for Correa than with the Astros. I think it's a similar situation with Aaron Judge with the Yankees. Look, he's the face of the Yankees. He really is. And when he's healthy, he's a legit superstar. And the Yankees do not make the postseason last year without that combination of Judge and Stanton. He is one of the very few players that the Yankees have developed this century who have become stars. Robinson Cano, who they developed, was a star, and he walked. Things didn't work out so well with him in Seattle and with the Mets, but I think he would have continued to be a productive player with the Yankees. Judge has developed into a star. He's had injury issues, of course, but when he's healthy, he's terrific. Someone pointed out Luis Severino. When he's healthy, he's been tremendous. But he hasn't been healthy enough that to have me include him on this list. If you're a Yankee fan, are you banking on Luis Severino to do much in 2022? If you answered no, then I think you've already answered my main question I have of him. Severino this year pitched 6 innings. The year before, he pitched 0. Now, the Yankees are in a situation where some people are saying maybe they should trade Aaron Judge now that he has value. Maybe they should make a move for him before they have to pay back up the Brinks truck. Why can't the Yankees back up the Brinks truck? Isn't that what they supposedly do? Now, to have stars with the Yankees, there's some ways you can get a star. You can develop your own stars. You can trade for a star. You can sign a star. Now, most people are signing their superstars to long-term deals because they did the math in their head saying that we're better off paying this person for their production than trying to trade them and get mix and match different pieces that don't add up to the star's production. So the idea of getting a superstar in their prime via free agency is very slim these days, which is amazing in a way that the Yankees were not more into trying to sign either Manny Machado or Bryce Harper after the 2018 season. And make no mistake, Bryce Harper is still an outstanding player, as is Manny Machado. And both of them would have fit in perfectly to the New York Yankees. He's a soft player. He doesn't. Shut up. Okay? Shut up. They would have fit in perfectly with the Yankees, and you kind of know it. But right now, teams aren't letting players walk. Those are the two very, very obscure examples with Machado and Harper. That doesn't happen often. And teams aren't really going to trade their star players unless you are going to either take on a massive salary like the Yankees did with Giancarlo Stanton, or pay through the nose with your prospects. In order to do that, you need a robust farm system. And the Yankees don't have a robust farm system. If they did, those players would be playing on the Yankees. To get a player of Aaron Judge's quality requires developing them through your own system. And the Yankees have done just that. And look it, I know he has a checkered past in terms of injuries. 2018, 2019, 2020, he missed significant time in each one of those years because of injuries. And he's not as young as you think he is, because he burst onto the scene. He's won the Rookie of the Year in 2017. He's going to be 30 soon. He's going to be 30 very soon. And it's sometimes dangerous to sign someone to a long-term deal when they're already in their 30s. But you know what? Sometimes you got to take that risk. There's been more than one rumor that I've seen of dealing Judge. Are you going to get the production that Judge has in that trade? You're not going to get it via free agency. Forget that. Via trade, are you going to get someone who matches what Judge puts on the field? And that you can hang your hat on him when you're trying to sell this team to Yankee fans. Pretty soon, Brett Gardner's going to go. He's probably gone now. And therefore, all links to a previous World Series championship has been severed in terms of the active players on the field. If Gardner does not come back, and I don't see any reason why he would, 0 players on the Yankees' current roster would have a World Series ring from the Yankees. Something that hasn't happened, a sentence that could not have been uttered since 1996. And here we are. The Yankees have to re-sign him. He's the face of the franchise. He's the person you hang the whole team on. And when he's healthy, he is that guy that can carry the team, get the big, huge hits, come up big, and be the true Yankee, whatever the heck that means. Who else are you building this team around? Who else are you marketing the team around? What are you selling the team on? What do fans think of when they come to the ballpark? Judge. You got to sign him. There's no reason not to do it, Yankees. You have every reason and every dollar to do it. And let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone. You've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. I want to tell you, there's a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings together your live TV on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes. No need to buy another device ever again. The best part, there's no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Easy for you to say. Content varied by package. One of the shocking news that happened in October was the firing of Mike Shildt, as the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. And it's really interesting, because you take a look at baseball, how fast things can turn around. Think about this for 1 second. In 2019, Mike Shildt is the National League Manager of the Year. He has been voted as the top manager in the whole league, at least for that year. And that year they got all the way to the National League Championship Series, where they wound up losing to the Washington Nationals, but still, they made it there. And then you had the COVID season last year, which everyone has to take with a little bit of a grain of salt. But Cardinals still played in the postseason and came this close to eliminating the San Diego Padres. Okay, now this year, Cardinals disappoint. Suddenly they go on a massive winning streak. Next thing you know, they make a mockery out of the National League wildcard chase, and it takes a walk-off home run by the Dodgers to stop them from advancing. And Giant fans, I bet now in retrospect, wish they did. And he got fired. And only he got fired. The coaching staff all stayed there. The front office, it wasn't like a new management came in and they wanted their own guy. It was just like, no, just you, who in the previous last 162 game season was the winner of Manager of the Year. Now hit the bricks. Go kick rocks. Now, it was because of a difference of philosophy, supposedly, whatever that means, that he wanted to do things more. I think he wanted to manage. He didn't want to take dictation from the front office. And they said, okay, bye. Now, Schilt will find another job. He's floating out there. And for any team that wants to make an in-house or to make a managerial change in the middle of the season, they have a Mike Schilt out there to say, hey, look it, this is someone who's been there, done that, former manager. We brought in the 2019 Manager of the Year to manage the team. Some fan base will be placated by that. But as it stands right now, there is a brand new manager with the St. Louis Cardinals, and it's Oliver Marmol, or Ollie Marmol. Now, I, for one, want it to be Stubby Clapp. Why? Because baseball needs Stubby Claps in the world. But this is an interesting decision to bring in Ollie Marmol. He is now the youngest manager in baseball. He's 35 years old. There are several players on the team, including Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright, who are currently older than the new manager, Ollie Marmol. Now, he never made it as a player. He was drafted by St. Louis, and he got as high as the Florida State League. He never made it to Double-A. But then when it was clear he was never going to make it as a player, he became a coach within the organization. Now, there are two ways that Ollie Marmol's time as manager of the St. Louis Cardinals can go. He can either be Snitker or Aaron Boone. Snitker, manager of the Braves, had a tremendous amount of success, was someone who came up through the Braves organization, knew the organization backwards and forwards, knew a lot of the players as minor leaguers who wound up playing with him in the major leagues, and was respected in the organization. And boom, company man, gets the job, holds on to it, has great success, and now he probably can manage until he doesn't want to. Ollie Marmol is a similar situation. He's someone who came up through the system, never made it, as I said, forget the majors, never made it to Double-A. But each step along the way, behind the scenes, as a hitting coach, as a minor league manager, whatever it is, he proved himself until he became the bench coach on the team. And then when Schilt clashed, there he is. And so maybe having someone who understands the philosophy of the team, understands the analytics that they want to use, and all that sort of stuff, maybe this is a Snicker situation. The reason I bring up Boone is because everything I keep hearing about, the players love him, the players love him, the players love him. Okay, but do they respect him as the manager? This is not a drinking buddy. This is not someone we're playing, a PlayStation with. Okay, this is the leader of the team. And so when I start hearing about how everyone likes this person, everyone, the Red Sox apparently loved Grady Little, and that didn't work out so well. Not everyone loved Joe Girardi. Everybody loved Aaron Boone. But there were some instances with Girardi that probably cost him, his stubbornness probably cost him the job with the New York Yankees. But he was the right guy for the job. And he did get that 2017 team, who had no business beating Cleveland, all the way to Game 7 of the American League Championship Series. So, look at Schilt will get another job, but we'll see what Marmol is. Is it the right thing to have a nice company man manage the squad? Or is it the wrong thing? Is it going to be Snitker? Is it going to be Boone? I don't know, but I do know that the Yankees have to re-sign Judge, and the Angels have to find a way to emulate what the Braves did because I can't deal with yet another postseason where the best players in baseball are playing golf. Can't deal with it. What I can deal with is continuing to do these podcasts. And thank you so much for making us your first listen. And we're available on all your platforms. Now, what your second listen should be is Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Aaron Lighton is a prospect encyclopedia. It is going deep on the Major League Baseball stars of tomorrow. It's free and available on all platforms. Talking about some of our off-season quibbles. This has been Locked On MLB for the 8th day of November 2021. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.